Hello, I'm Jennie Rayment, and today I'm going to present to you an interlocking squares block. It comes from the design that's in front of me, which is made up of 9 textured blocks, and the one we're going to do today is the one at the top. You will need 5 squares. Now I used 4.5 inch ones. You'll want one 4.5 inch square in your background fabric and 4 4.5 inch squares in the other fabric, which I've got in blue. Let me show you what you're going to do with it. So we have 5 squares. The background one is going to be left exactly as it is, untouched, but the other 4 are going to be pressed in a certain way. You're going to take the square and fold it in half, making a triangle. Open it out and bring one point to touch that centre crease, fold it over and press it again. You will end up with a triangle with a bit tucked in, and you need to do that 4 times. So we have one there, number 2, number 3 and number 4. When you've done that, you'll need a pin, just one pin and one pin only, and also be able to tell which is your left hand. If you put both hands in front of you, only one hand says L for left. So taking the background square, L for left of my left hand, we're going to take one of these pressed triangles. This too has an L for left on it. You're going to place it onto the background square, which will be right side up, with the L for left snuggled into your left hand. The other corner there is going to get a pin in it. Now just put the pin through the top layer. Don't put it through the bottom layer. You're going to take the second pressed triangle, put it directly on top of the first one, give it a quarter turn going round clockwise. That's that way. You can still see the pin, thank goodness. We're now going to take number 3, put number 3 directly on top of number 4, give that to a quarter turn, going round clockwise, and thank goodness you can still see the pin. Finally, we're going to take the last one, put it on top of the third one, give it a quarter turn, and horror! We've lost the pin. But if I lift up this corner of number 4, I can tuck him under the first one, and then I can say, hello pin. At that stage, what you need to do then is to pin the layers together and either by hand or on the machine do a long stitch right the way round the very edge of the block to actually hold all the layers together. And that's the interlocking squares design. Show you what to do with it shortly. So there we are, we've sewn round the outside edge, and now we can incorporate this block with some others. Do not be tempted to roll back the edge of the fold yet, because if you do roll it back, you're running the risk of catching this rolled back edge in any subsequent seam. Leave it untwiddled. Right, once it's been incorporated into, say, some other blocks, or you've added a border, now you can play. And I would like you to really roll back these folds as far as they can go. As you roll them back, you might want to just put a pin in them just to hold it in place. When you begin to roll them back, you'll expose that 5th square that's underneath, and probably about 1 inch of it will show. So there we are, there is the 5th square exposed underneath. At this stage, I'd probably anchor these folds down at the 4 corners, just with a couple of stitches, preferably by hand, or you could do it on the machine with a very short stitch length and just literally catch it down there on the corners. Not only can we roll these folds back, but of course you've also got the chance to roll that little one back as well. Now, whether you catch this with 1 stitch in the middle or whether a couple of stitches, entirely and utterly up to you. I'd also be inclined to put a steadying stitch just over there in the corner of these longer folds, otherwise they're a little bit apt to roll back, and then your design doesn't look so good anymore. So once you've rolled back all the folds and stitched them in place, with luck your design could look a little bit like the one we have here. And there is our 5th square exposed in the middle. Now we used a different colour for this, but of course there's no reason why you couldn't have had all of these squares, including the 5th one, all in the same colour. Then you get a design that looked very much like this one. Now I've chosen to use an oak shot fabric here, but the design looks equally good if you just did it in calico. And there we have it done in calico. So this is your interlocked squares design. So that is the interlocked squares block, and you can see I've got it on this cushion cover with 8 different designs. We'll be working our way through all of the designs over the next few weeks. So there is interlocking squares, but you don't have to make it with 4.5-inch squares. You could make it any size you like. Why not make it a little bit bigger? Just use one panel as a cushion cover or the side of a bag. You could take, say, 4 of them and put them together for perhaps another cushion cover, bag side, wall hanging. It's a very simple design. All you need is 5 squares, 1 for the background and 4 for the interlocked squares. So that's it. A little bit of twiddling, fiddling, nipping and tucking from Jennie Rayment.